everybody, this is Eric Worre, and welcome to NetworkMarketingPro.com. I'm here in Siesta Key, Florida, with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Jeff Roberti. I'm going to let him talk in a moment, but I will tell you, he's earned over $70 million in commissions in the network marketing profession, more than anybody I've ever known personally. And he and I go way back, actually. I was involved with the company that he's still involved with. I was involved way back in the 1980s, my very first experience. I moved on from there. He continued on and obviously had huge success. Well, we're at his home, one of his homes here in Florida. And Jeff, thank you for being on and giving a little bit of your time.
Thank you, Eric. Thanks for having me.
Tell everybody your story, because I continue to find it inspiring as a person, kind of come from your background and how you got started in the network marketing profession.
Well, I guess my story is, if I was going to share the story and how I got started, I did not come from a wealthy family. I'm the oldest of three boys. My father had died at an early age, at the age of 46, and I was always a hard worker. Always had a really good work ethic. Even growing up, even 14 years old, had a lawn business in the neighborhood, mowing lawns in the summer, and I worked construction and worked in the grocery store and worked as a waiter and cleaning pools and I was always the best at whatever I did. So when I got introduced to network marketing or having your own business or a home-based business, I brought that work ethic with me. But, I didn't have a higher education. I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have a lot of experience, a lot of background in this type of business. But what I was lacking in those areas, I made up in a willingness to work, a burning desire, a willingness to work, and being really teachable. Finding somebody that's hungry, that's dissatisfied. And I talk about, people get started in this business sometimes out of inspiration or desperation. And for me, it was out of desperation. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired sick and tired of being behind on my bills in life, my promises in life, to myself, to my friends, to my family. And I was looking for some things to change in my life and was very dissatisfied. So when I got introduced to the opportunity, I became a customer first, which, really in this business, the first step is to become a satisfied customer, a raving fan customer, where you have that passion and that belief in your product or service. And then I found out there was an opportunity where an average person with an above average desire could earn an above average income. So I went to work on myself. I'll never forget, I came home after my first meeting, and you know how we all have a list of excuses? I had that list of excuses of, the experience or the age. I was in my early 20s, no money, no experience, no background. But I made it up in some other areas, and I decided, look, you can make money or you can make excuses, but you can't make both. In other words, I tore that list of excuses up, and I said, Jim Rohn's right. For things to change, you got to change. And for things to get better, you've got to get better. And you can have more in life if you become more in life. And as you grow, your business grows. This business is almost like a course in personal development disguised as a business, where you can go out there and grow and become more. And so I got off to a really fast start. I understood what Zig said, you can have, if you help enough other people get what they want in life, you can have everything you want in life. So I got off to a really quick start, started sharing the product, sharing the opportunity, building a team.
Before you go any farther, let me just back up for a second, because there's so many little gems in there, like little nuggets. And anybody who's ever watched any things that I've talked about, what do I always said, there are three elements that you have to have. A burning desire, a willingness to work, and being coachable. Guess where I got that? This guy right here. I've been repeating it for 20 plus years because it's the absolute truth.
Sure.
The one thing that I add to that sometimes is if you have a little bit of competitiveness, not to make somebody else lose, but to want to win, to push yourself to be better. When how old were you when you got involved in the network marketing profession?
Well, I got first introduced at the age of 21.
21. And did you?
I'd like to say I was 12 when I got started, since I've been around for 25 years.
I think you're doing just fine. You're the youngest guy I know that's made this kind of money in the network marketing profession. But did you, when you first got started, did you feel insecure about talking to people? I want to talk to the young people out there for just a moment about just being 21 and talking to people who are older than you, maybe more successful than you.
No, because
you were a waiter, right?
Yeah, I was waiting tables, and I was a very good waiter. I was the best waiter. Like I said, anything I did, I had a very good work ethic at it, and I used my age as an advantage, not a disadvantage. I was able to get into some doors and get some people's opinion, and I would always tell them, people that were older than me, maybe connections through my family or people that I respected. I always tell them, look, I value your opinion, I respect you, I'm a young guy just getting started out in this, and I really would appreciate your opinion on it.
So you used the indirect approach, built up their ego a little bit?
Absolutely, and it was a way to get into some doors in the very beginning with some people that maybe, and I had no fear, no fear of rejection, and, because I always tell people the longest journey in life is from the head to the heart. Once you get out of your head and it's not about me and you truly are going out there to serve and gift and pay, put somebody's needs ahead of your own. The three things in business that I got very clear on early in the business is, one, it's about their needs, not your needs. So if you can go out there and provide something that meets that person's needs, and you can add massive value to their lives, and then you can create those raving fans, whether they're a customer of your product or service, and or become a raving fan of your business and of you.
Right.
So,
do you see? I see so many people. We talk about it a lot, actually, on this program. Is they're almost like predators. They're hunting for people to get in their group. They're predators to try and capture somebody to be in their organization, versus the mentality of giving. The mentality of making it about the other person.
Well, even when I start a new person up, it's not who can we sell, it's who can we share this with, who can we gift this. We're putting together our little memory jogger of list of people that you want to share your product or your service with. My attitude is this: the language, who do I love, who do I care about, who can I help? Instead of who can I sell it. It's not the direct selling, it's the direct sharing industry.
Right.
And if you have that passion, that belief, that congruency, that conviction, it's not what you say, it's how you feel about what you say. People communicate more with feelings than they do words. So when I came when I started sharing my product and my opportunity, I had what you would call emotional sincerity. It was from the heart. It was truly going out there to serve and gift, and people could feel that.
Yeah.
They could feel the fact that, wow, this guy really believes and is passionate about what he's sharing here. This product or this service, and that comes across with people. When they really see that you've got
people can sense it. Right?
You got their best interest at heart,
right.
And it's just then going out and leading by example.
Before we get to leading by example, I want to back up and dig into this a little bit, because everybody, as you make this contact list, and you're always adding to this contact list. But I think what he said is so vitally important. And again, you're learning some distinctions between somebody who's made $70 million in the network marketing business and somebody who's made $100 that you might be listening to, or somebody who's made no money but they're your negative family member or whatever. Or so pay attention to these little things, because I'll tell you, for example, making the list of here's the people who I can recruit, here's the people who I can get, here's the people who I can sign up, versus who do I love? What were the three?
Who do I care about?
Who do I care about?
Who can I help?
Who can I help?
Who
can I share this with? The difference emotionally is huge, and I think just by thinking that way, the way you're going to approach those people is completely different.
Sure. Absolutely.
Completely different. So, all right, so before we get into leading by, I guess we can talk about leading by example. I'm getting all fired up here. Leading by example, I've heard some things, some legendary things about you that I don't know if are completely true, but I heard when you first got involved in the opportunity that you're with and you've been with for the last 24 years, that you made like 1 million phone calls. I mean, every day you were just pounding it. You were hitting it hard. You were leading by example. You were doing things other people weren't willing to do. Long before it was fashionable in your company or anywhere. How did you launch? How did you really get it going? What did it take?
Well, my attitude is in life, watch the feet, not the lips. Distributors do what you do, not what you tell them to do. In other words, would you follow you?
Yeah.
Your work ethic, your discipline, your consistency, your daily method of operation. Are you the type of person that you would follow? Is a good place to start. So my attitude was that I was going to, once I signed up, I'm going to be the best distributor in my organization. I'm going to lead by example, and not only tell people how to do the business, but show them, they'll try it, and they'll do it. So going out there and leading, not pushing. It's easier to lead than push. And setting the example, leading by example. So I got very clear in the beginning in our business that we get paid, what you get paid for is sharing the story, telling the story, sharing your product story, sharing your opportunity story, sharing your story. And, the company ships and manufactures and collects and accounts, and they've got their role. But what you and I are, what this is all about is about relationships. This is relationship marketing, multi-level network marketing, whatever you want to call it. At the end of the day, long-term relationships equal long-term success. So I got very clear also in the beginning that there's this thing called safety in numbers. There's this thing called the law of averages. And I understood in the very beginning that if you talk to some people, you can make some money. If you talk to lots of people, you got an opportunity to become very wealthy.
Yeah.
So instead of just going out there and setting some low standards, I said, well, if it's 2 a day, what if I talk to 20 a day or beyond that?
Yeah.
Anything you do consistently over and over again, you get better and better at doing it.
Yeah.
Remember Jim Rohn sharing with me, he said, Jeff, a few simple disciplines done consistently over and over again equal multiple rewards.
Right.
And an example might be, let's say you talk to 3 people a day, and you do that for a few days, nothing much happens. But you do that for a few weeks, and then a few months, and then by the end of the year, you've talked to what, almost 1,000 people?
Right.
Do you think you'd get better at telling the story?
Absolutely.
Do you think you'd start to come from more of a position of strength and have that voice of authority and that congruency and that conviction and that passion? Absolutely. Do you think that maybe you'd have some momentum in your business? And all of a sudden, maybe some of the people on your team would start doing the same thing.
Right.
And all of a sudden, you've got so much momentum going from doing it over and over again consistently that maybe sometimes the results you see this month is not a result of what you did this month. It's what you did last month.
Right.
Or this year's from last year.
Right.
Because you got to have that consistency, that discipline, that work ethic. Consistency of effort, work ethic, and attitude.
Yeah.
And so I understood that there was a bit of a numbers game. I also understood, Eric, and this one might be priceless for people out there. You get paid just as much for a no as you do a yes.
Yeah.
And in the very beginning, I got clear on how do you overcome this fear of rejection? Where somebody tells you no, your product's no good, or your business, or you're no good. How do you get past that? And sometimes, I ask people, do you have any negative family members out there?
Yeah.
If you can get past your family, you can become a millionaire in this business. My mom's still waiting for me to get a real job. But, you're going to have some situations where people are going to poo-poo it.
Right.
They're going to be negative. Well, it doesn't matter whether you buy their story, whether they buy your story. What matters is whether you buy their story.
Right.
So let me just give you one example, one nugget here that maybe could help some people out there, that could serve the people that are listening. You get paid just as much for a no as you do a yes. What you really get paid for is telling the story. The sale is a result. The cause and what you really get paid for is consistently sharing that story. So let's take an example. Let's say you talk to 10 people a day. And out of the 10 a day, you get one yes. Well, that feels really good. How do you manage the other 9? The other 9 no's. Well, instead of dividing the sale by 1, what if you divided it by 10? And let's say on the one sale you made $50. And so now how do you manage the other 9 no's? Well, instead of dividing it by 1, which is 50, for every person you talk to, it was worth what?
$5.
$5.
Yeah.
So let's say you're on the phone with someone and you're sharing your product or you're sharing your opportunity, and they say, that product's no good, that business is no good, and you're no good, and you guys should all be thrown in jail. I'd say, thank you very much, I got your $5 anyway, and hang up the phone. Right? Because it doesn't matter.
Right.
I understand that there's this thing called safety in numbers. There's the law of averages.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a baseball player goes up to the plate, and he gets paid for swinging the bat, right? And if you hit the ball, you strike out 7 out of 10 times. You hit the ball 3 out of 10 times. Back 300. They pay you $4 million a year. You don't have to bat 1,000%. So that just being able to get past that fear of rejection. I always tell people this: say less to more. People, don't worry about the ones you can't sell. Worry about the ones you can't see. There's this thing, I believe...
Wait, say that again. Say that
Don't
again.
worry about the ones you can't sell. Worry about all the ones you can't see. How many people are in the United States?
300 million.
300 million. But yet we tend to focus on the few that you
can't sell versus you can't see. In other words, get in front of some more people, right?
Eric, at the end of the day, come on. You can't say the right thing to the wrong person. Right. And you can't say the wrong thing to the right person.
Right.
So, hey, it doesn't mean I don't care about somebody. It's kind of like I got this big long line of people from here to infinity, and if you're not interested, that's okay. Go ahead back to the back of the line. I talk to the next person.
Right.
And I put them on what I might call my drip list, where I still drip on them, I still love them, I still care about them, but they just may not be ready.
Right.
So, it's a series of exposures. It's not an event,
right.
So it's a process. But you keep moving forward.
Yeah.
You keep moving forward with your passion, your belief, your congruency, your conviction, your work ethic, your discipline, your leading. The number one reason people fail in this business is they start to listen to negative people. Number one reason. If you think about why somebody would quit. Great word to put in your vocabulary for those of you that are out there. Next. Next. It's okay. If somebody doesn't want to do it, next.
Right.
It's all right. It's okay to move on to the next person.
Yeah.
So, I got clear on that in the very beginning. And people could see, like, wow, this guy's coming from a position of strength.
Really,
he's got
real strong.
That voice of authority. Like, he believes in what he's doing. There's
didn't
conviction.
matter that he was 24.
Didn't
or
matter
whatever.
he was 24. And you know what? You get a little bit better each day, each week, each month. You just, a day at a time, brick at a time. Just like building your business.
Right.
So, that would probably be one of the biggest tips that I could...
And
well, numbers, but when I find somebody, which could lead into the next segment is when I find somebody that does say yes, well, then it's not you go do it, let's do it together.
Right.
In other words, sign up here, win here, I believe in you.
Yeah.
And I'm very clear, life's not about me, life's about we.
Right.
Taking the spotlight off of you and shining it on someone else.
Right.
And you embrace that person and their contacts, your presentation, and you start chasing the business and help them experience success immediately by putting on some customers and starting to build up a team. And, they start to grow. They start to become more.
Right.
And you see that process and that you build that relationship.
Right.
And, you get to a point where you've duplicated yourself.
Yeah.
And you don't stay in the management mode and keep working with that same person forever, right? Then you go off and do it again. You keep stretching and stay in the recruiting and the building and the building mode,
right?
Where you keep building new teams.
Well, before we get into getting a person started, I want to talk because where most of the pain is in network marketing, I think, is in the recruiting process, and a lot of them don't get the mindset that you get. What he just talked about is he had a burning desire, willingness to work. He was coachable. He was willing to lead by example. He made his list, and he decided to make up in numbers whatever he lacked in skill, and he had his passion and all that stuff. How do you deal with, when people say that they get not rejection, but objections? They get objections, and people say, hey, I'm not so sure if this works, and is your posture just so strong that you just kind of move on, or how do you deal with that?
Well, I mean, some of the things I just shared with you, as far as, understanding that you're not going to bat 1,000%.
Yeah.
And the out of the head and into the heart.
Right.
See, the fear of rejection to me is if I truly am coming from a servant's heart, if I've got that person's best interest at heart, if I'm there to serve them, if I'm there to gift them, if I'm there to, I'm a messenger, I understand I'm the messenger, not the message, then it's not about me. Once I take me out of the equation, and I truly believe that I'm there, my belief is I'm there to...
It doesn't matter. You just kind of
it doesn't matter,
All right.
So, and that's where you got to get strong is understanding. It's funny. There's only about a dozen negative people out there.
They just move around.
They move around a lot. Like Jim would say. So it's.
Let's talk. One of the things that you're so good at. I mean, what a lot of people do is they sign somebody up and then they wait for the business. Right? They sign somebody up and then they wait for them to go to work. And what you've been so great at is you get people involved, and then what you just said, you chase the business. Tell, show, try, do. I learned that from you too, is this process of quick results, getting them going, and they provide the people, what Jeff told me way back. He said, Eric, you provide the people, we'll provide the presentation. You just be a body dragger, drag some bodies in front of us, and we'll be okay. So how does that all work?
Well, I talked to you about this earlier. Last night we talked about, concepts are constant, techniques vary.
Right.
The concepts, the fundamentals, the basics never change. The different techniques, the different means and ways to tell the story, whether it's, person to person or a three-way call or CD or internet or home party or whatever it is. There's a lot of different means and ways.
Sure.
When you bring a new person on into the business, it's a commitment. It's equal commitment for equal commitment. You make a move, or I make a move, you make a move. Not I make 2 moves, you don't make any moves.
Right.
In other words, if you want this, I'll show you how to build your business.
Right.
I'm here to focus. I'm not giving to get. I'm not measuring what I'm getting in return. I'm not focused on my income. I'm focused on helping you get off to a fast start, and all the focus on you. What kind of success you're having in the business.
I've heard this from a lot of top leaders. They say, look, I'm going to match your effort, and I'll even give you a little more than you give. But I'm not going to do it all. I'm not going to drag you over the finish line. You're going to have to take a step.
All right. Well,
is that true?
Yeah. I mean, it's not your upline's business. It's your business. At the end of the day, I want to take somebody where they become, a distributor becomes, number one, self-responsible, self-disciplined, self-motivated, and ultimately self-functional. I want them to I want them to become independent. That's the greatest gift you can give somebody. My sponsor quit my very first month in the business.
Bad move. Bad move.
Yeah, it's funny. People ask me, they say, you ever see him? I said, yeah, he was spotted somewhere not too long ago. A sign on his backside that says, kick me here. But
a bad move.
But he thought the grass was greener on the other side of the fence and went to another program and didn't realize that this 24-year-old ex-broke waiter that maybe didn't look like he had a lot of potential or a lot of education or background or money, had a lot of desire, was willing to work and was teachable, and went out there and got after it.
So pretend that I'm a brand new person and you just sponsored me. What would you be telling me? And what would be our our launch plan?
Well, there's some steps. I mean, you know, the first step is, and if you don't believe in the product, if you don't truly believe in the product and become a customer, raving fan customer of the product, there's really no step two.
Yeah.
Because we're going to build this on rock, not sand. We're going to build this on a solid foundation. So the first step, and and that's why I say it's not the direct selling, it's the direct sharing. Because if you truly believe in it and you're passionate about the product, then it's you're going out there and sharing the product, you're gifting it, versus going out and feeling like you're trying to sell somebody the product. It's something you believe in, something that you're passionate about. But it's all about relationships. We start to develop a relationship, and I show you a few simple steps on how to get your business started. And we talk about these big incomes, and I never get into that with my new person.
Sure, I understand.
We're talking about Eric. Let me show you how you can get your product for free. Let's refer a few people, some baby steps. Let me show you how I can get you up to $500 to $1,000 a month. The majority of the people on this planet, an extra $500 to $1,000 a month is a life changer. Yeah. All of a sudden saves their marriage, their home, their car. I mean, whatever it is. So it's some steps, and sometimes it's hard for somebody to believe more than 2 or 3 times what they've ever made in their life, more than double. You start. It's crazy. There's the potential to become financially independent in our business. Absolutely. I tell people, hey, you give me 3 to 5 years, I'll show you how to compress a lifetime worth of work in what we do in the next 3 to 5 years. You'll look back and say, this was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. Signing up with you, Jeff Roberti, here in Sarasota, Florida, jumping into, my product is Juice Plus.
Yep.
I'm passionate about health. I think there's a huge need out there for health.
Yep.
And just as there's much of a need for prosperity and wealth with all the confusion and uncertainty out there right now. Our business is very attractive. It's the magic of part-time, where you can start a part-time home-based business, flexible hours, low investment, low fixed overhead, part-time, immediate income, be able to expand your business not only in this country, but the 20-plus countries we're doing business in, and I'll show you how you can get it started.
You see how he's planting all these visual images and how he's really helping?
Yeah, but here's understand this.
I love the magic of part-time.
Part-time magic.
I love that.
And there's something exciting about, when you got a little part-time business going on here. That's why you see a lot of women come into our business. Because, their spiritual life, their family life is their priority. And then if they can have a part-time business that they can start out of their home and network and share something that they believe in. Yep. A lot of times, the guy at first will be like, well, that's her business.
Right.
Starts having a little success. Well, it's our business. And then once it's successful, my idea, right? My business. But you kind of see that happen, especially in our Juice Plus world. We have a lot of the women that really drive it because they're health conscious, and we've got this program for the children, and whole foods and fruits and vegetables just makes good sense.
Yeah.
And
so the magic of part-time, this idea of planting the seed that part-time's not a silly thing, it's a smart thing, it's an exciting thing, it's a fun thing.
And the other thing is, Eric, is this. I like to under-promise and over-deliver. If network marketing has a bad reputation, it's because people, they put these unrealistic expectations out there. I worked extremely hard building my business in 20 plus countries to have this type of residual income. It didn't happen overnight.
Right.
But I also understood that if I was consistent long enough and invested back into my business and back into people and kept building, kept staying in the recruiting mode, there was an opportunity to take it from part-time to full-time to lifetime to, your career.
Yeah.
And
part-time to full-time to
lifetime. I mean, and it's like people say, Jeff, why are you still so passionate about this today? I was just over in Munich, Germany with 5,000 people, and did another talk out in Los Angeles with over 5,000, back-to-back conferences, and you've just put together another big tour that I'm getting ready to do over in Europe. And it's because, there's this thing, Eric, called the science of achievement, that part of it. But there's also this part of it called the art of fulfillment. Success without fulfillment is failure.
Wow.
And, people say, well, why are you still doing this today? Hey, when you love what you do and you get to add value to people's lives, there's nothing more rewarding than that. I sit in the front row at our conferences, almost 25 years. This January will be my 25th year. And I'm up in the front row with my journal taking notes like it was day one. And I hear new people come across the stage that have gotten up to our top position, marketing director. And it's not the position, it's not the money, it's who they've become.
Wow.
And you see some of the adversities and challenges and the growth, and you see this person up there that maybe you played a small part in that.
Sure.
You believed in them maybe even more than they believed in themselves.
Yeah.
And you see them share their story and come off the stage and all the hugs and kisses and pictures and flowers. It's like, so our business is so rich in relationships, so rich in love and connection, in growth and contribution and making a difference and making an impact. But I sit there and I hear these stories and I'm moved emotionally.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there in tears half the time when I hear when they're sharing up there.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of emotional revenue. There's a lot of spiritual revenue. Our business is rich in meaning and purpose and fulfillment. Where they're just beyond just
you were talking
the money.
Yeah.
Today I do it totally out of inspiration.
Yeah, well, talk about that, because last night we were talking about how your reasons have evolved over the years. From a young man to today.
Sure. Maybe
where did it start, and how did it? Where did it go?
Well, maybe this would be a good message for some of the other leaders out there. Once you build up your business and you get the residual income, and you get to a point where you really don't have to go out there and work it like you did in the beginning. You get paid. Part I love about it is you get paid tomorrow off of what you did yesterday.
Yeah.
That word residual income is great, but it can also be a double-edged sword. Because if you stop growing, the law of the universe, all things either grow or they die.
Yeah.
You either contribute or you either grow or you die. You're either climbing or you're either sliding. And it's just like contribution. Either you contribute or you're eliminated. Tony Robbins, one of my mentors, talks about a thing called CANI, C-A-N-I. It's called constant and never-ending improvement. Where you grow in all areas of your life. How's your financial mastery, your relationship mastery, your spiritual mastery, your physical mastery, your emotional mastery? Constant and never-ending improvement. That's why I joined his Platinum Club and have Tony as one of my mentors and immerse myself in that learning environment. But, for me to keep doing the business today is a chance to pay it forward. I'll never forget when I filled out my application and what it meant to me. And when I went to my very first meeting, and I remember driving home in the car, and I didn't have the money for the hotel or the plane, and I was here in Florida, and it was up in North Carolina. And, you do what you got to do to make it work. And I remember driving home in the car, and I had the radio on, and I was thanking God for answering my prayers. Wow. There was tears of joy coming down as I was driving home. And wow, this is your chance. This is a chance for you to become more and have more, and to and your success, your income. Really, when I look at my income, it's a measuring stick.
Yeah.
The more lives I've touched, the bigger impact I've had, the bigger difference I've made. That shows up in that check, because the only way you're successful is if you help other people. They're getting the results. They're getting value. Their needs are being met.
Right.
So today years ago I decided to retire into my business instead of from my business.
Yeah, because you retired from your business a long time
ago. And so maybe the other leaders that are out there is you've got to evolve your why. My why today is about inspiration. It's about, that brand new person that's just filling out their application. It's their grand opening. It's their launch of their business. And, the product that I share is Juice Plus, but what I really market is hope. I market hope. I market opportunity. I market dreams. Sign here, win here. I believe in you. And, sometimes you turn on CNN, constant negative news, and you can just live in fear, paralyze yourself, watching all the negative stuff that's out there, the doom and gloom. And I show up as a breath of fresh air saying, hey, here's a product that can make a huge impact on your health, and here's an opportunity for another need that's out there, which is wealth, prosperity.
Yeah.
So, I'm marketing. I'm just as passionate about the opportunity as I am the product with people. So
the thing that just inspires me. So I come here last night. We're hanging out and take a look at the house. We go to dinner and all this stuff. And he's just as excited today than 20 years ago. Coming, when I was spending time with him, trying to learn from him, he'd come to our little office that we had in Minneapolis, and he was just as passionate then as he is today. He would just literally go out there and say, "You can change your life right now." And he's getting me like all fired up, ready to get involved in the profession all over again last night because and he's telling these stories, and we had this dinner with this great couple that they've achieved financial independence. This great family, that they live in Spain now, but from Germany, and it's so fun. Tell everybody about the importance of stories. The importance of stories. How important are stories in what we do?
Yeah, well, it's almost like you're a paid storyteller. I've always been the type of person. You sell results, not ingredients, and just like your personal story as far as what the product means to you, and your personal story as far as what the business has meant to you. But I also love to share stories of others. Other people that have gotten involved and what the product has meant, what the opportunity has meant. So, if I was really going to summarize our business, it would be this: grow me, serve you. As you grow, your business grows. And if your focus is on serving others, like I said at the beginning, and I got this from Tony, he talked about, where you're putting their needs ahead of your own. You're not giving to get. You're not measuring what you get in return. You're truly there to put that person's needs ahead of yours. Number two, you're there to add massive value to their lives, providing that value. And number three, creating that raving fan, building that relationship, that long-term relationship. I always joke with people. I say, I got two hobbies in the business: collecting friends and collecting money. And you should see the collection. That's because that's what it's all about. The more friends. Some of my best friends in the world are people that I've shared the product with and the opportunity with, and the relationships that are just invaluable.
Let me ask you a question about what you share first, because there's a debate, I think, out there in the network marketing profession. I want you to understand, he has 1 million people in his organization on a monthly auto ship. 1 million people using the products on a monthly basis. Amazing, unbelievable legacy. But some people say you need to lead with the opportunity because, then they'll use the product as a byproduct of the opportunity. Other people say, no, you need to lead with the product, because they got to be a product of the product first, and then you can share the opportunity that's involved with the product. Yeah. What's your opinion?
Well, first of all, I want to correct you on the million.
Okay.
Our company has over 1 million that are on auto ship, and I have a little piece of that pie. I'm pretty proud of the role I've played in that. But one of the things I like to be is factual.
I understand. Okay, fair enough.
There's Jay Martin, another one of my mentors.
Yeah.
Jay's just a brilliant man, the president and founder of NSA, and one of the things that I so much admire about him is his leadership and his wisdom, and I just have so much admiration and respect for the man. And I was very fortunate, actually, 25 years ago to find this company, because sometimes in our industry, some of these companies are here today and gone tomorrow. And Jay's weathered the time here of 4 or 5 different great product launches over the years, and 40 plus years, and billions of dollars in sales. But, Jay is a believer with our product that, to lead with the product. And there's a lot of merit and a lot of wisdom in that, because, if you're just talking about the business, if I'm just leading with the business, it really doesn't make sense if you're not a product of the product. If you don't believe in the product yourself, then how could you possibly go out there and share something with someone that you're not passionate about yourself?
Yeah.
So I'm okay with, once I've shared with you the product story, when I was talking to you last night about the importance of whole food nutrition.
You should see him. He's like a little kid. He's running around. Here's a bag of this. And try one of these.
Right.
And try it.
But when I was telling you about it, here's a simple concept.
Right.
Here's what we should eat when it comes to fruits and vegetables. Here's what we do eat.
Right.
And Juice Plus bridges that gap.
Right.
Now, could I talk to you also then about, if that makes sense to you, whole food nutrition, that I could... could that make sense to you then to say, okay, well, Eric, I can show you a way, or what if I could show you a way where not only you could make this impact on your health of yourself and your family, but people that you love and people that you care about? Or, I could ask a series of questions and get into what needs you're really looking for.
Right.
So I can introduce the opportunity to somebody, but the product's still got to come first. You understand that? Mm-hmm. There's no deal if you don't get on the product and get on the auto ship and start taking the product and become as passionate about the product, because you've got to have that. If not, it's built on sand. If some of these programs out there, they're just a bunch of programs.
It's an excuse.
It's just an excuse. And we made our mistakes. I've been involved in that before, and we've made our mistakes in the past, but for the last 20 years, we've been out there building something where, 90% of our sales are people that just take the product.
Right.
They're on auto ship because the product stands on its own.
Right.
You might have you might have over 1 million customers, but 10% of those, 100,000 of them, have become distributors, representatives, started their own home-based business because they love the product.
So about 90%.
And it's not and here's what I tell people. When you know what you know, it's not an opportunity, it's a responsibility. How could I not go out there and share this product or this opportunity with you?
Once you know it.
Once I know it. So my belief, the meaning I give it, is so different.
And because you guys lead with the product and get people raving, I love the word raving fans. I've read the book, but I've never attached that. Raving fans. You create these raving fan distributors and raving fan customers. Is it true? Approximately 90% of the users are
just
not distributors.
Just in consumers.
They're just consumers. Is what that says is, if in the profession you have a product that will stand without the financial opportunity attached, that people will use it regardless of whether or not they're getting commissions. What I've told people is, I think people stay on auto ship for 4 reasons in network marketing. 1, they're making money. 2, they have the hope of making money. 3, the culture is so strong that if they don't do it, they don't feel like they're part of the group. And 4, the product stands on its own. And I think the network marketing profession has gotten lazy, especially in the last 10 years, and they've relied on the first 3 way too much.
Sure.
And not enough on the 4th. And the 4th takes some patience.
Sure.
People are chasing around these little cocaine deals. Hey, I've got to make $1 million in my first month, so they bounce from deal to deal to deal. What would you say to those friends? Because we both have friends in the profession that have kind of got lost in the bouncing around to chase the dollar thing.
Well, I think if you look at the S curve, and there's the innovation stage, and then there's the growth stage, and then there's the maturity stage, and everybody feels like they got to get in the very beginning. Well, that's not true. Right. When I got involved with NSA, they had already been out there for almost 20 years. So it was a solid company with solid management.
They were ready for wave 2, kind of.
So they were still, like, even right now where we're at, we have, like, still even less than 5% saturation as far as penetration of the market. So we're just getting ready to go into that growth stage, and we've been out there for almost 20 years with the product. So sometimes you feel like you got to be the first one in and get into a new deal, and and you kind of jump from deal to deal, and that's not how it works. You got to find something. First of all, you got to find a product or service that you truly believe in yourself. And then you've got to find some leadership, the people that are running the company, that have a long-term vision, a long-term plan, like I found with Jay. And, and then a system that is duplicatable, where new people come in and they're having success, not just the people at the top.
Right.
And, and then you got to stick with it. It's not just jumping around and, from deal to deal and, trying to, the people in my business are not network marketing pros or,
Right.
They're stay-at-home moms. They're healthcare professionals that believe in whole food nutrition, So I'm building it with, people that say, hey, I love this product. I'm passionate. You've got a good business. Here's how I know I've built this thing on a solid foundation. You've got a good business when you can't screw up your own business.
Yeah.
Even if I left, everybody would still stay.
They say Jeff's lost his mind. He's crazy.
What is he doing over there? I mean, did he drink the Kool-Aid or something? I mean, what's going on with this guy?
You do know you got a good business.
So it's solid. So it takes some time. It takes that pig-headed discipline, that consistency. Where you just got to do it consistently, day in and day out. It's like putting one foot in front of the other, going from point A to point B.
Right.
And I'm also very clear, one of my mentors, a guy named Larry Thompson, he talked about, he said, Jeff, the majority of the people are just going to be users.
Yeah.
85%, they're just going to do it part-time sometime, and that's okay, and that's fine. But you get that, that 10% or that 5% or that 2% that really want it. And that's the ones you really lock in with and build some teams with.
Yeah.
Like the Vim and Birgit Plunga you met last night. I've taken my business, not only did I build it here in the United States, but I've gone to 20 plus countries.
Right.
And always kept building, always kept recruiting, staying in the building mode, and got out of my comfort zone and into some uncharted waters. Right? And, the bigger the problem, the bigger the paycheck. Some of these countries were not easy to open, but I understood that there was huge rewards if you could figure that out. And it's just been very rewarding. So on a lot of levels, emotionally and spiritually, and like I said, with just the relationships and continuing to grow and serve.
Yeah. Well, talk to me about time management for a moment.
Okay.
At the very beginning, if you were going to recommend somebody for their first year or two or whatever, what percentage of their time should be talking to new people, talking to prospects, versus how much of their time working with their group? What percentage do you think?
Well, you're always talking to new people. I mean,
well, that's not what everybody does. But I mean, there's different stages, right?
That's there's 4 stages. There's the production stage. Then there's what I would call the management stage, and then then there's the overseer. You kind of oversee the managers that manage the producers, and then there's the overseer of the overseers,
right.
that are overseeing the overseers to make sure they're managing the producers and doing their job.
Right.
Well, when you get into that overseer position, and all you're doing is dealing with problems and managing and overseeing people, then the business is it starts to become stressful, and you need a break, and I need a timeout. And it's no longer fun. If you want to get back into the fun, the juice of the business, that's getting back into the production phase, where you produce, where you're putting on new business. You got that new baby distributor. They got a good positive attitude and a fresh, warm market. Sometimes it's easier to give birth than raise the dead. Instead of trying to whip that dead horse, they don't want it anymore. It's okay. They're going to do what they're going to do. Why not go out and get somebody that wants it, that's got some desire, it's got some hunger, and put on that new front line? Here's my advice to some of you that have been out there for a while. If your business is flattened out or it's stagnant, go back out and do what you did in the beginning that got you to that top position in your company. Go back into the recruiting, the production, the building phase. Go back out there and put on. Nothing will ignite your business more than putting on 5 new front lines. And working with a new team. And you know what it'll do for your group? It'll inspire them. Because they'll say, well, look at Jeff. He's out there. At first they might be like, well, hey, you're not focusing on me and I'm not the issue anymore. You're not going to just spend all your time here managing me. And you start putting on some new business, all of a sudden you get after it. they start to see that, and then some of them start to get inspired by that.
I remember you were always saying, "Catch me if you can." I'm gonna be bringing in some extra people. Catch me if you can. Come on, because it was inspiring to me. I was like, "Dang, I'm gonna get left behind. He's just gonna keep going. He's just not gonna stop." I mean, I think. Would you say that one of your secrets has been you've stayed more consistent in production mode than other people?
Yeah, I mean, and that production mode could be if you're my new.
You're driving it. You're telling the story.
I'm chasing it through your business.
Yeah.
I'm.
You get in front of people.
I always joke also too. Another the lesson I could share with people is what we call the 3-foot rule. I don't know if you've heard of the 3-foot rule.
Yeah.
Somebody gets in within 3 feet of you.
You gotta tell the story.
You talk to them.
Right.
You make a connection. You build some rapport. Hey, turn off your phone. Get off your Crackberry or your iPod or iPhone or whatever you're on and talk to the person next to you.
Right.
Put a smile on your face.
Right.
Say hello to meet somebody. Ask a question. Make a friend. Instead of going to a meal or having a meal at a restaurant, how about making a connection with that waiter? There might be some waiters out there that can make you a lot of money in this business. I don't know. But whether it's the bellman or the driver or the waiter or whoever it is, I'm a team player. I make everyone part of my team. Mm-hmm. Making friends, collecting those friends, building those new relationships. And once you could drop me literally, Eric, out of an airplane, with a parachute, hopefully, and a backpack, maybe with some products and a few brochures, land me anywhere in the world, and within 90 days I could have a thriving business and not know a soul there.
Right.
Because I would create a warm market.
Right.
And once I found somebody, then I chase their contacts, right? And then those people know people, and then they know people, so it just starts to expand.
Mm-hmm.
So the 3-foot rule, we say, if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right.
Right.
Lighten up, and your sales will brighten up. You gotta have a little fun with this thing. You can't get too serious. It's just. We joke about it, we go around, we're having fun, and we just almost make it like a game, like we're having fun talking to people, and sometimes I'll pull the waiter off to the side and say, hey, I have a gift for you tonight, something I want to share with you, and I'll share it with them. I don't try and make a spectacle out of it in front of the table, but making that rapport, making that connection with somebody.
There was a time when I was really wanting success, and I was dealing with my own stuff. I was growing meat. When I was a young man, he was also a young man, but he was like this rock star already. And he was going to be doing an event in Detroit, Michigan. And he had a new line going there, and he was chasing the business with this new line. And I called him up, and he was like 8 levels above me or something. I said, Jeff, somehow somebody gave me your phone number or whatever, and I ended up getting you on the phone, which I was grateful for. And I said, Jeff, if I come to Detroit, can I just watch you? And you're like, oh, I could tell. It's just like you probably get that quite a bit. And I've had tons of people ask me, can I just watch what you do in a day? So I got in the car, and you said sure. So I got in the car and I drove over, and I slept in my car. I didn't have enough money to stay in the hotel where you were staying and doing your presentations, sleeping in the car, doing the presentations, and so I'm hanging out with you. And a couple of things that I learned from this, it was really interesting. One is, one joke you told, he said, Eric, did you hear? I said, what? He said, I won the lottery. I said, no. He said, yeah, really? I said, no, get out of here. He said, no. I said, I can't believe it. He said, yeah. Network marketing. I won the lottery, man. I get paid every single month, but it's just not for a 10-year buyout. It's a lifetime. I'm like, so you probably don't remember this, right?
Not quite.
So the other thing is I watched him do presentations. He was chasing the business, and his new line there was just putting people in front of him. And he did the presentation, and you know what? It was the same. Over and over and over and over. He'd tell the same story. He'd tell the same joke. He'd introduce it exactly the same way. He would do the compensation plan literally almost word for word. Same pause, same inflection in his voice. I watched him do it 10 times, 15 times, 20 times over the course of 3 days. And I was just stunned. And it was so fun. I did a little homework, went onto your website and stuff. I'm listening to some conference calls. I'm listening to do the presentation. and it's the same. It's the same. I mean, he added a few things, just a few words, but the same. The reason why I got such a big smile on my face as I'm watching this is I'm listening to all the stuff that brought me up. For things to change, you got to change. You got to strike while the iron's hot. You know, it's not about me, it's about we. All these different things that he's just lived, these concepts. And so, you know, so the consistency. I see so many people, including myself. You get bored with your own presentation. So because you're bored with it, you start tinkering with it. It starts to become this monstrosity versus remembering it's about that new prospect.
Sure.
And what did you tell me last night? It's easier to get a new audience than it is to get a new presentation. So focus on the people you can't see and tell a new story versus trying to entertain the few people that, you know, you're too lazy to get around. You know what I mean? So anyway, it's been inspiring to me for a long, long time. But talk about just this consistency thing. I mean, as far as doing the presentation, do some people say, you know, well, hey, give me a different presentation every once in a while?
You know, I'm always growing,
yeah.
And I'm always, you know, I'm a true believer that you know, today you're the student, tomorrow you're the teacher, and I'm always immersing myself in a learning environment and growing and taking notes.
Talk about that, because he's been around. He's made more money than anybody. He's sitting in the front row at events.
Well,
and you're always taking notes. He's got his journal stacked here in front.
Here's an example. I use a journal, and you know, if you look in my journal, I've got things, you know, highlighted in there after I've taken my notes. But you know, I take notes. You know, short pencil's better than a long memory. First of all, and it's not when you remember; it's when you can't forget. And I take notes not as if I'm only taking notes for myself, but as if I'm going to teach this to someone. The fastest path to mastery is not only to apply it and integrate it into your life, but to teach it, to share it. So my presentation, the basics, the fundamentals of what our business is all about, that doesn't change. You know, like I said, concepts are constant, techniques vary, there's different means and ways. So, yeah, it's easier to get a new audience than it is a new presentation. I mean, when you've got something that works, keep it simple. Keep it, you know, duplicatable. You know, you don't want to get too high-tech with, you know, with what you're doing. I mean, I love the fact we got one product, one price, one story, one simple message, and it's very duplicatable. But, you know, as far as taking some new information and growing as a leader, growing as a person, then I've got material that I might sit down with my leadership team or some people that are up and coming and talk to them about some of these things that I've learned and some of these different things that I've taken notes on. So I'm always constantly growing.
Right. No, I'm not saying you're not growing, but I will tell you the presentation. I wanted the results that he had. So what I did way back then, with a boom box, is I recorded your presentation, I transcribed it word for word on a legal pad, every single word, every joke, every story, everything. I recorded my own voice into the tape recorder, listened to it, was just mortified because it sounded so terrible, no energy, no, you know, excitement, anything. I did it like 5-6 times until I kind of got it, and I put it in my car and I listened to it 1,000 times until I could do it in my sleep.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's sometimes what you do. You just learn the presentation and get it to your subconscious level and then just go. You know, where's the new person I can tell the story to? I was looking at your journal there, and so many great little concepts that you had in there. The talk about personal growth, talk about personal development. How important is that for you, and how important is that, do you think, to the network marketing profession?
You know, there's a handful of things I do consistently every day. Number one is I share my product. You share your opportunity. You build relationships. You know, the fortune is in the follow-up. You build for events, you know, one event to the next. And then you learn how to master big impending events, like when we have a conference, a convention. You know, I'm a firm believer to invest back into your business and get people to the big events. And count the calendar down, going into the days right into the big conference, and load up the dance with a freshman class and light them up and see them all going home with that.
I want to talk about that
light in their eyes.
Yeah.
But the other thing is personal development. What books are you reading? What are you listening to consistently every day? Different CDs or, different things that you're feeding your mind with. Who are you spending time with? Who you spend time with is who you become. You want to make sure that, you love your family, but choose your friends.
Yeah.
Sometimes, people,
great
you got a chance here to, that selection process of who you're going to spend time with, that peer group, what level they play at, what standards they have. It's one of the things I like about Tony's Platinum Club. Is I'm around a peer group. They're at learning environment where everybody ups their game. But personal development, the three things I do consistently every day is feed the mind, condition the body, and connect spiritually. And, those are the rituals, habits. Your habits, your rituals, what you do consistently every day is very important. So personal growth, personal development. I think I said it earlier, grow me, serve you.
Yeah, I love that. Grow me, serve you.
As you grow, your business grows.
Yeah.
And, you inspire people. Are you the type of person that's inspiring to be around?
Yeah.
Success breeds success.
Right.
And sometimes I'm around people and they're like, Jeff, if it's half as good as you make it sound, I want it. I'm just being around you, that energy, that passion, that enthusiasm, just that belief, that emotional sincerity.
Sure.
That you have. So,
let me transition that to this. We were talking last night, and I said, some people are, their personal development is more oriented towards books. Some people it's more oriented towards listening, audio programs. Some it's live events. You're a kind of a live event, experiential learner, don't you think? Kind of a lot.
I'm more auditory, more visual.
Yeah. So one of the things that you are so good at, and you taught me to be fairly good at, not as good as you, but fairly good at, is to build towards events. Especially the big destination events where somebody's got to get out of their little cocoon and they've got to travel someplace, they've got to sacrifice, they've got to figure out a way, and then for a weekend they'll think about the possibilities in their life and they'll start to dream and they'll meet other people. How important are these big events that you build towards? So a couple questions, I'll let you go. Kind of go on it. How important are they?
Right.
How do you build towards them? And how do you teach others how to build towards them?
Well, I'll just kind of summarize it for you. Like I said, I have my DMO, my daily method of operation of things I do consistently every day.
Right.
Sharing the product, sharing the opportunity, building the relationships, building from one small event to the next. And you build what's called momentum. Momentum's a funny thing. When you've got momentum going, it's great. But it takes some time to get that momentum going. So if you're doing something consistently long enough and you've got enough people in that pool of people that you've shared this with, as you build towards your big conference, now you've got a group, you've got some momentum, a group of people that you can pull into the big event. Even when I didn't have the money, Eric, I invested back into my business. Whether it was meeting somebody part of the way, I'll get you a conference ticket or, split a room with you or whatever it is. You figure that part out yourself. But putting it back in, investing back into your business, investing back into people.
Well, the big thing that I think that's different here is what a lot of people do is they go through this phase. Phase one is they go if they're a distributor and they can plan it and figure it out and they're kind of sensible about it and they go. And then two is they build a little team and then they try and get their team to go and they slowly build that way. What you've done from the beginning is you've made the big events about your prospects, about not just people on your team, not just distributors.
Right. No.
You've always made it about prospects, and like you say, that freshman team. You're always focused on, here's the class of 2011 that's coming into this new event. It's not about bringing in everybody else. We want them to come too.
Sure.
But you're going to lead by example because on the front row there's going to be you and a bunch of guests and a bunch of kind of freshman team. So that's a different philosophy for people. And people go, really? I can bring prospects to my big event? How valuable has that been to your career, getting people to prospects or brand new people to a big event?
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's an experience where it doesn't work all the time.
No, of course.
But when somebody comes and they spend those 2 or 3 days and see that big picture, like you met Vim and Birgit last night, they leave there where they're flying so high they don't need the plane to get home. They've seen it, they've felt it, they've experienced it. So, the big conferences, the big events are a must. Like I said, they're just non-negotiable. And and the people see me. Like I said, it's easier to lead than it is to push.
Right.
And if people see you leading and you're showing up with a new freshman class of baby distributors that are excited and enthusiastic, and it's all new for them, and and you're there taking notes, and it's like your very first conference,
right.
and you're laughing and you're crying and you're playing full out and you're leading by example there. That's inspiring to other people. They see that. And,
I think the fact that you as a top earner, top leader, whatever, sitting in the front row taking notes is huge.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely. Distributors do not what you tell them to do, they do what you do. Mm-hmm. And like I said, watch the feet, not the lips.
Yeah.
And leadership out there, would you follow you?
Right.
Your work ethic, your discipline, your daily method of operation. What are you doing consistently every day? Are you the type of person you would follow?
Right.
And so it's. We could talk here for hours on this, but maybe we should wrap it up here.
No, I want to go as long as I can. Possibly.
I have company in town. You can understand. I'm a social director today.
I know.
So
I want to talk a couple more things about events. The one thing that I heard, and I don't know if you think it's true or not, but once you get 100 people in your group at a major event, your business becomes self-sustaining. I mean, it just kind of takes on a life of its own. Have you seen any kind of tipping point when it comes to people getting into events?
I wouldn't put a number on it personally. I mean, I wouldn't say, hey, once you have 100 people in an event, your business is self-sustaining. I've never focused on positions or numbers or ranks or any of that. I've always focused on the activity.
Just the daily method of operation.
The activity. And, if you do the activity consistently over and over long enough, the results will happen.
Right.
You'll achieve those positions, you'll build a business that'll be solid and have the residual income or self-sustaining or whatever word that somebody wants to attach to it. But, the thing that I would go beyond even that is if you truly are out there building a business, that you are putting that spotlight on others, that you are truly focusing on, like I said, meeting their needs, adding value to their lives, and creating those raving fans, and not measuring what you're getting in return, that you are truly out there. It's almost like the franchise business. If you've got a successful business model, then you want to franchise that out. It's almost like a poor man's franchise. Mm-hmm. You don't have to invest thousands of dollars. You can start with very little investment and very little fixed cost and build a business with a little sweat equity that could start to grow. And if you can duplicate that over and over again with people, whether it's in your local area, or whether it's you expand it on a state level or a national level or an international level, that you could build something, that truly could have that residual income. So, it's just been, it's been a life changer, for me. We talked last night, maybe we could close with this,
Sure.
One of the defining moments, you asked me, Jeff, was there some defining moments in your business? And, I think back when I was in my early 20s and, my dad working for someone else, and there was always more month than there was money, and struggling and juggling, and I'm the oldest of 3 boys, and it was really a defining moment when he died at the age of 46 of a massive heart attack. And I tell people that was the worst day of my life, but I turned it into the best day of my life. Because it's not the meaning, or it's not what happens, it's what you do with what happens. It's not the event, it's the meaning you give it. And I took that deepest pain in my life and used it to grow as a person and to serve. And there was some things there that shaped my life. And one of my whys back then was, not coming from a wealthy family and, seeing my parents struggle. And I remember my mom driving us, taking the boys somewhere, and she had a car, and it wasn't the nicest car. It was a little beat up and had a little rust on it, but she was a proud woman. But I could tell there was some pain there. And I remember as a kid sitting in the back of that car saying to myself, if someday, if I could, I would. If I could, I would like to help my mother and father. Or if I could, I would like to do this for my grandparents or for my family or for my charity or whatever if I could, I would. So I remember when I got introduced to this industry, I had a huge why. And part of the why was that if I could, I would. Mm-hmm. Of course I wanted to be able to get a home myself someday and, have some of these things that I dreamed of as a kid. But I remember going to work and working 8 to fame, putting in those 20-hour days, getting up early, working late, burning the midnight oil, putting that extra 10% effort in that produced 90% of the work, the results. And, if you got the why in place, the how part's not that difficult. Mm-hmm. Come on, when you really get down to it, it's not that difficult how to build this. Yeah. So that why was, that I said to myself, if I was ever in the position, I'd love to buy my mom a new car. Mm-hmm. And after a few years of working really hard, I was in that position. Mm-hmm. After investing back into my business, building it, 20-hour work days, just really going after it. And I'll never forget, it was on a Christmas morning. Got the car outside. And I found out what the car of her dreams was, if she could have any car. And I bought this car. I didn't buy myself a car first. This was for my mom first. Mm-hmm. So I buy her this car, and I load it up. If you're going to shoot a king, kill him. I put all the bells and whistles in. I mean, I got her the insurance, the gas card, the whole deal. And she's up in the mountains, and I'm up there on Christmas morning, and I got the car out in front of her home. And you know how it has that morning dew on the car, and I got a big red bow on the hood. And I'll never forget bringing her out. And that first thing in the morning, Christmas morning, she comes out, and she sees the car. And I hand her the keys, and I tell her how much I love her. And I see these tears of joy running down my mother's face. And I thought I was the one that was giving. The floodgates were open. I was the one that was receiving. And I just never forget, being able to that why I've been able to give that to my mom. And, I'm sure there's some moms out there. How many moms would like your son to do that for you, right? And, it's so funny because, my mom, we've got a great relationship now. And, we talk about, she says she was at a conference not too long ago, and I had I don't know how many thousands of people were there, and she was in the front row, and I acknowledged her. And what a chance to be able to acknowledge your mom at a convention like that. And she said afterwards, she says, Jeffrey, I wish you wouldn't tell that story. You made us sound like we were so poor.
Yeah, right.
And she goes, and by the way, that car was quite a few years ago, and it's only a 2-wheel drive. I need something 4-wheel. I said, okay, I get your point. And she goes, and by the way, you only have one mother.
Yeah,
I said, thank God I can't afford 2 the way we're going. But now it's I've been able to do some great things there with her.
Yeah.
And, as far as providing some, and like you even asked me last night about different charities and different things you can be involved in and different things you can do. It's just been very rewarding beyond any financial success. Yes, do I believe that I'm on pace to be one of the first distributors to earn over $100 million?
Sure. Absolutely.
That is going to happen. I've got that, but that is a measuring stick. Understand that measuring stick is measuring the impact, the difference, the lives you touched. That's what's very rewarding is the emotional and spiritual revenue. And so if you get your why in place, And that would just maybe a story that maybe somebody could relate to as far as why to do the business.
Here's what I would tell you. I know your mom's proud of you, and your time today is incredibly grateful. And I would tell you this: if your dad was alive today, he would be unbelievably proud of you. Not for the things that you've earned, but for your contribution in the day-to-day and around the world, and what you've done for the people that are watching here right now. You're not invested in their business. This is a contribution back into the network marketing profession, and we're all grateful for it.
Well, thank you. Thanks for what you're doing for everyone out there, too, by the way.
We're having fun.
Really making a difference.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, my wish for you, our wish for you, is that you decide to become a network marketing professional. You grow you.
Grow me, serve you, baby.
Grow me, serve you, because it is a stone cold fact that we do have a better way. Now let's go tell the world. Everybody have a great day, and we will see you next time. Take care. Bye.